Hello there, let's make week 9 of the technical bake challenge, a Framboisier. But first, instructions first. So we're waiting for this week's instruction. We should get the text any minute now. I'm quite excited for this week actually because it's week 9, which means next week is the last week. Okay, the text has just come through. It's quite an interesting one really. It looked really technical. Compared to all the bakes we've had, this one makes everything look so easy. Welcome to the semi-final bake-off technical challenge. You may have mastered pastry and meringue, but it's time to master patisserie, which means delicacy, intricacy, and precision. One single mistake could mean total disaster with this challenge. You are to make a perfect, worthy of a window spot in a French cake shop, a Framboisier. It should be a light Genoese sponge filled with a pistachio, crème, mousseline, and fresh raspberries. But not only that, it should be topped with a sugar glass dome. We're not going to do a sugar glass dome. I'm telling you that now. I've seen so many people who've attempted this. It looks crazy hard.
Can I just see your fingernails? Yes. I like the osterlake because you've been hanging on by them for a while now.
Okay, you have 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours to your marks get set, bake. Okay, let's get on with it.
Let's get cracking. 2 sets of 4 eggs here. Keep the eggs at room temperature, and then I'm going to split the eggs for the mousseline cream. Keep the yolks, leave the egg whites, and use it for something else. Now I'm going to combine the sugar and the eggs for the Genoese sponge. Excuse my dad here. Sorry, Dad. But I'm going to whisk this together before adding it on top of a double boiler. In the ideal situation, start with warm water, because what we don't want to do is start with boiling hot water because it will cook the eggs. Now, I think in this case, you kind of won't see any change in terms of the mixture. The only thing I would suggest is use a sugar thermometer and test it. It's around about 50 to 50 degrees. And that's probably the perfect point really to take it off the boiler. This essentially creates the foundation for the sponge. I have no understanding of the science behind it. It's kind of cool though. I'm going to put it in a whisker and I'm going to whisk it for 5 to 10 minutes. Or when the egg mixture turns from that really horrible egg translucent to a really nice creamy opaque texture. I'm going to add 2 more ingredients, the vanilla and the butter. Now the butter is melted, but I've also left it at room temperature so that it doesn't cook the eggs as well. On a medium setting, you're whisking it out until you get this kind of texture. This is kind of perfect. It would indicate that you've built enough bubbles, but not too much where you've over whisked and created like cooked scrambled eggs. It's quite an interesting like middle ground. And then we go on to prepare the tins. Nice even layer of butter and parchment paper should do. This kind of tin is quite interesting. It's quite big compared to what I expect. Now I'm going to add the flour and the cornstarch in. Honestly, in a figure of 8, you're just folding it in. You're trying to not knock all the bubbles out, but also create a nice texture. This specific batter is much thinner than I'm used to. And I think it's because of like the ratio of flour to eggs and sugar. But anyway, once you get that ready, you'll see that the bubbles settle and you create this kind of triphobic-esque batter. Anyway, look away if you're not a fan of it. It should go in for the oven for 180 for 20 minutes. Now my oven sits a little bit hotter than usual, so I normally reduce it about a couple of minutes so I don't burn it. But you will see later on it's slightly burnt. Anyway, we're going to make the simple sugar syrup. I didn't have raspberry liqueur, and I'm not a big fan of raspberry liqueur, so I just made simple syrup to add on top later on. And moving on to the custard, or the crème pat really. I'm going to heat up the milk.
Time to make the pistachio paste. Or in my case, I bought it.
Of course I cheated. Anyway, add the warm milk to the egg mixture. The egg mixture is just sugar, corn flour, and the egg yolk. And basically you put it back onto the pan, heating it slowly until it thickens into a crème pat. Essentially, it should be nice and thick, thicker than custard, but a little bit softer than a choux pastry dough.
This bit throws me off so much. My crème pat is so thick and it needs to be sieved through. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Genuinely don't know if it's going to work. Also, I didn't buy... Ooh.
This looks ridiculous. Look how gross it looks at the bottom. Okay, so this has now been sieved and we're going to put it onto a low whisk mode until it reaches to room temperature, I think. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to put it onto a low setting to reduce the temperature but also to whip it up. What I will say is this is super temperamental, so don't go crazy with the speed because I don't want it to split. So probably that much will do for now. And then once it lowers the temperature, we can add the butter, the pistachio and the vanilla. So I've got an A3 piece of acetate. I'm going to cut it in half to fit around the cake tin that we're using to decorate, which is the 23 centimeter cake tin. So the cake's also nice and flat now. I'm going to cut that later. I'm more terrified of cutting that than this actually. So I'm going to literally split this into half. Being really, really like, I don't know why I'm being so exact. It doesn't really matter because we only need to use one side and then one side needs to be straight. Right, so it's, again, you don't have to be exact. I just want to be exact. Like that. One more time there. I should line these up really. 2 little pieces and we're just gonna whoop, like that. At the bottom. We want the bottom to line up more than the top because we don't want the cream, the crème mousseline, the cream to come through. So, whoop. Oh, it's perfect. Right. I'm also going to add the butter a little at a time. So probably like a few cubes at a time, just because we don't want it to be like, we don't want it to melt, but we also don't want it to have like butter chunks. We want it to be thoroughly mixed in. Hopefully this is like room temperature enough. Yeah. Yeah, it's starting to like mold under my fingers. So you want like butter that can like basically be squished. Ooh, like that. Couple at a time. Like that. And it should slowly incorporate. Let's bring the temperature up a bit. Now the thing with this process is it takes a long time. So take your time. If you're in the show and you have that set number of hours, you might want to do this whilst you have the cake or genoise in the oven. Probably the best time to do it because the room is a little bit warm and the butter is coming to room temperature, which means it will meet it halfway. But in the ideal world is to take this process really slow, because if this doesn't set, everything's gonna mess up. I'm honestly like not even worried about the cream or anything. And if you are going to do like the sugar work, please make sure you have the right equipment. We're not going to do the sugar work today. The dome is a lot of work, and I don't think anyone succeeded in the show to make the dome. The other thing is, with the sugar dome, you need the gloves and the right cutter. When you put the cling film around the bowl and you create that air pocket underneath, you need to make sure that the cutter won't cut through the cling film, but the cling film is tight enough to create the dome so that the air shoots up to make that perfect dome. Honestly, today there's a lot of work here already that I don't want to be worried about, and this is one of my favorite like sort of like style of cakes. It's complicated, it's doable if you put your mind to it, but honestly we're not at the end yet, so it might still fail. Might. Ever so often you need to push the butter and everything down so that it mixes nicely. Look, and now it's nice, and it should be quite thick and it should still hold. Now your mixture should still be really thick and should still hold. Nice. And back on it goes. In goes my pistachio butter that I made from fresh. I joke, but essentially you're putting in 150 grams of pistachio butter. I added a little bit more because this one's a little bit more diluted than the one that they suggested in the recipe. It's up to you how you do it though. It's nice and thick. Nice. Set it in the fridge for a bit, and then we're gonna start stacking things up. Out comes the sponge. Like I said earlier, my oven sits a little bit hotter than usual, so I actually need to reduce it a little bit more. So in my oven, ideal time is probably 15 minutes. Your one's still 20 probably.
Now, how does one assemble a classic framboisier?
Is there any cake to this cake? This framboisier, I don't know how to say it. I don't know what you want me to do. There's no cake here. This is my hand, and my hand's thicker than it. It's tiny. But it cooked well. It's golden brown on the edges. I don't know what to do. This is crazy. This is like unbelievable territory crazy. I don't know how you want me to, you know, this is, I don't know what to do. This is not something I know how to do. My head can't comprehend how thin this cake must be. This cake is thin with several ends. I need to now shivvy it. Ugh.
Now this is the bit where I'm unsure where to go here. I've placed the cream in the fridge to set for a little while before bagging it. This tip might work for you if you're thinking that the bag has more control when we're layering the framboisier. I'm not too sure actually.
No, try and be clever, Caitlin.
If you have come this far, you guys can comment down below, mistake. I made a chantilly cream because I hadn't realized that the recipe didn't require me to make this so complicated. It's just double cream whipped. You don't need to overcomplicate it. I just added a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of sugar, and I put it to a piping bag to pipe on top of the cake. With maximum amount of focus, we're gonna start layering cake by actually starting off with a sponge. You're gonna basically half it horizontally. I am terrible at this, so please do not follow my method. It's already gone wrong. I don't know how it's gone wrong, but it has gone wrong. But once you've done that, we're gonna set it aside and we're gonna start layering it. First and foremost, setting this up. Now the acetate kind of acts as your guideline, but also to basically have a clean edge.
Should look like that, basically. I'm gonna tell you something. I am so sick and tired of raspberries. I have 3 boxes for today's video, but I don't think we've not made a dish that doesn't resemble, look, smell, has jammed, sugared raspberry. I don't understand whether whoever listed the technical bake challenge and is obsessed with raspberry. I'm tired. They're not exactly even cheap. It don't matter, you didn't see anything. No! You didn't see anything. You didn't see anything. This is the sugar syrup that we made earlier.
I've never felt so pressured or panicked all at once, but also how long this took. So basically I stood all the raspberries up because it's out of season, and clearly they've made this within the season of raspberries. These raspberries are tiny, they're like smaller than a marble, and so it took ages to get to this bit. But does this not remind you of the classic Great British Bake Off chocolate cake, the first scene that you see when they cut into the show? It looks so good. This is where I mentioned earlier about bagging it. It seemed pointless because there is control, but I still have to flatten this. So again, it's your choice whether you decide to use this method or not. Now we're going to layer the second part. This bit doesn't require any cream, but I did it because I didn't want to add marzipan on it. It's up to you. Now a layer of that simple syrup, I'm going to let it set so it can sink it into the sponge, and then we're going to add the final bit of the topping. Then we can show you the result. See what I mean? It's pointless. I don't see why I bagged it. Like honestly, there must be a technique I'm missing here because it didn't really help me out whatsoever.
Okay, so I'm gonna use a bench scraper to level this out. Oh, that was actually such. Oh, yo, that's awesome. That is so cool.
Why was that so satisfying, taking off the acetate? I love acetate for this very reason, because it gives you such a smooth, clean edge without having to crumb coat, and I am terrible at crumb coating. Now, because we didn't make the dome or the flour and we're not adding the marzipan, I'm just piping on the cream that we made earlier, and I think this looks gorgeous. Enjoy.
Okay, time to cut into the cake. I'm actually really proud of this piece of cake, so I don't actually want to cut it. It looks too pretty to eat, so I'm not really too happy to destroy my creation. But no word of a lie, I'm really proud of myself this week. We didn't do the sugar dome and we didn't do the flowers, but I'm actually okay with that. Earlier I already told you why, but still it's so stressful to get to that point. To get to this point is already stressful, but to add that, 2.5 hours is not enough time. So hats off to all the contestants who did really well. And I'm so sorry for Toby, who actually didn't set the cream mousseline like right, because he's, I'm so upset by that. How stunning is that? Yo, okay. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, let's give this a try. I'm actually so excited about this. Oh, I cut it weird, but well, there you go. Would I do it again? No. It's worth buying it. It's not worth making it. I give myself a 9 out of 10 for this challenge. It was a very fun challenge. Interesting to say the least. Lots of raspberries. If I don't see a raspberry for a very long time, I'll be very happy, basically. Great challenge. I would definitely give myself a 9 out of 10 for an attempt. I'm sorry if I disappointed anyone with the sugar dough and the rose or the flour. It was just never going to happen. I was already stressed about this, let alone the extra features. Congratulations to everyone who attempted this. Unreal. All the ingredients and the measurements are down below, so please check that out. So is the recipe. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and a like and subscribe. It helps me out. Thank you for watching. I'm going to love you, leave you. See you for next week, the final week. We're going to be doing Madeleine cakes, which is so exciting.